Rain poured like judgment from heaven that evening, soaking the cracked sidewalks of Brookside. Officer Daniel Harris slammed the door of his patrol car, eyes fixed on a trembling boy clutching a loaf of bread against his chest. The boy couldn't be more than 12. "Put it down," Daniel barked, his voice echoing in the alley. The boy froze, eyes wide, lips quivering, soaked to the bone. As Daniel handcuffed him, the boy whispered, "Please, sir, my sister's hungry." That moment, the world stood still. If this story shocks you, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to Moral Avenue. Together, we can remind the world that compassion is stronger than judgment. Officer Daniel Harris was known across the precinct as a man of rules. No excuses, no exceptions. 22 years in uniform had carved him into stone calm, composed, and unwavering. He'd seen too much of life's messiness to believe in excuses. He lived alone in a modest apartment downtown. A framed photo of his late wife, Emma, sat beside the bed, a woman who once softened his edges. But after cancer took her, Daniel built walls instead of bridges. He'd tell rookie cops, "The law doesn't bend for tears." So when he caught that boy stealing from Mrs. Conway's small grocery, his instinct wasn't empathy, it was duty. The boy's name was Eli Turner. Scrawny, barefoot, and dripping with rainwater, Eli looked like a ghost of the forgotten. He didn't cry. He didn't resist. Just held that loaf of bread like it was gold. Daniel drove him to the station in silence. The only sound was the windshield wipers scraping back and forth, counting down the seconds to judgment. At the desk, when the sergeant asked for the report, Daniel hesitated. Eli's stomach growled audibly. The sound echoed in the quiet room. "Shoplifting," Daniel said, forcing his voice steady. "Caught red-handed." But as he filled out the paperwork, something gnawed at him. The boy didn't look like a criminal. He looked like a cry for help. Eli sat on the metal bench, shivering, his small fingers clutching the edge of the seat. Daniel glanced up between his reports, pretending not to notice. But guilt crept in. Finally, he sighed, removed his jacket, and draped it over the boy's shoulders. "Where do you live?" Daniel asked. Eli's eyes flickered. "Down on River Street, near the old train tracks." Daniel frowned. That area had been condemned years ago. "And your parents?" Eli hesitated. "Mom's gone. Dad left before she got sick." Something in those words twisted Daniel's gut. He didn't press further. After hours of silence, Daniel made a decision he hadn't made in years. He broke the rules. He signed Eli's release under community supervision, meaning he'd personally follow up on the case. "Let's go," Daniel muttered. "I'll take you home." The patrol car crept through the dark streets of the city's edge until the pavement gave way to dirt. Shattered windows, rusted fences, the smell of decay. When they stopped near an abandoned house, Daniel's chest tightened. Eli got out quietly, still clutching that now soggy loaf of bread. "Thank you, sir," he whispered. But Daniel followed. "Wait, this is your home?" Eli nodded. "Me and Lily stay here." "Lily? My sister. She's 6. She's sick too." Daniel's heart dropped. Inside, he found a little girl lying on a pile of blankets, pale, frail, coughing weakly. The air smelled of mildew and despair. No electricity, no heat, just 2 forgotten children trying to survive in a world that never looked back. Eli tore the bread in half and gave the bigger piece to his sister first. She smiled weakly, her eyes lighting up like candles in the dark. Daniel froze in the doorway, the lawman and the human in him at war. He'd arrested criminals for less. But these weren't criminals. They were victims of neglect, of poverty, of a society that looked the other way. He left that night in silence, but he didn't sleep. The image of Lily coughing echoed in his mind. The next morning, Daniel returned with groceries. Milk, canned soup, medicine. Eli's eyes widened. "Sir, why are you helping us?" Daniel didn't answer. He just unpacked the bags. "Because no one helped me when I needed it." Over the next few days, Daniel checked in often. He fixed the broken window, found an old space heater from the station storage, and arranged for a doctor friend to examine Lily. Little by little, the children began to trust him. Eli started smiling again. Lily drew crayon pictures of Mr. Officer and taped them to the wall. But Daniel knew it wasn't enough. He needed to do more. He started digging through case files, social services reports, and missing persons databases. That's when he found something that made his blood run cold. A record from 6 years ago. A woman named Grace Turner reported missing after an abusive marriage. She had 2 children, Eli and Lily. The file was marked, closed, presumed deceased. But here they were, alive. And one more detail. Grace Turner's maiden name was Harris. Daniel stared at the page, heart pounding. His late wife Emma's maiden name was also Harris. He made a few calls, checked birth records. Then it hit him like a thunderclap. Grace Turner was Emma's younger sister. These children, Eli and Lily, were his wife's niece and nephew. The kids he never knew existed. He dropped the phone, trembling. Fate hadn't brought him to that alley by chance, it had led him home. That night, Daniel returned to the abandoned house with tears in his eyes. "Eli," he whispered, voice breaking, "you don't have to live like this anymore." He showed them the old photograph of Emma, smiling beside a younger Grace. "Your mom, she was my sister-in-law. That makes you a family." Eli froze. Lily's eyes widened. "You mean, we're not alone?" she whispered. Daniel knelt down, pulling them both into his arms. "Not anymore." For the first time in years, Daniel felt something inside him melt the walls he'd built crumbling under the weight of compassion. He took them home that night, cleaned them up, fed them, and as he tucked them into bed, he looked up at Emma's photo on the wall. "I found them, Em," he whispered. "I found your family." But just as peace began to bloom, a dark shadow loomed. The next morning, when Daniel left for work, a black SUV was parked near his building. Inside sat a man with cold eyes, watching him closely. Later that day, Daniel received a call from an unknown number. A deep voice said, "You have something that belongs to me." Then the line went dead. Daniel's blood ran cold. He looked at the photo of Eli and Lily on his desk and knew the storm was far from over. To be continued. Moral. Sometimes, the people we're meant to save are the ones fate brings back into our lives, not for punishment, but for redemption. If this story shook you, make sure to subscribe to Moral Avenue, where we uncover the truth behind every act of kindness, karma, and justice that changes lives forever. Please take a moment to like this video, share it with friends, subscribe to Moral Avenue, and comment below. What would you have done if you were Officer Harris that night? Thank you for watching Moral Avenue. Compassion is the strongest form of courage.